3 weeks ago, I created my new hardcore world, and we've had a pretty perfect start. I built some basic farms to get some essential items like iron, cobblestone, wood, gunpowder, shulkers, and we even built a raid farm. We also built our massive starter base that automatically sorts every single item that we could possibly need and just looks all around fantastic. And to a lot of people, this isn't even a start. This is just like the entire game. But when you're a loser YouTuber who doesn't go outside, you tend to go a little bit overboard with your projects. But regardless of that, something I realized when I was collecting all of the mobs for my last video and building the mob vault to store them all in was that I didn't actually have the perfect start. And I kept running into some annoying little problems that I need to fix. With problem number 1 being beacons. Beacons are obviously one of the most useful blocks in the game, giving you all sorts of useful powers. And right now I only have 5. 3 right here and then 2 more at a couple builds over there. I mean, technically I could probably get up to 9 since I have a wither star here, 1 for the filter, and then a beacon here and 1 for the filter as well. But I kind of need those, so I really only have 5. And I'm kind of tired of hunting wither skeletons in fortresses and building up and breaking down beacons constantly whenever I need to use them. So what we need to do is build a basic wither skeleton farm. This design I'm going to use comes from ENX04. I'll leave a link in the description. And to build it, we need to get a ton of nether brick, some walls, some glass, some obsidian, materials for an iron golem, some turtle eggs, and then a few repeaters. Then we need to find a fortress that's in the middle of a soul sand valley because they have better spawn rates. And then we'll gather a bunch of netherrack and ice from some glaciers to build kind of like a basic bridge to the farm through the nether roof. Okay, now let's grab up some materials to break some bedrock so we can get in and out of the farm more easily. We'll open up a hole in the ceiling here. We'll set up a little staging area here for all the materials. And now to actually build the farm, we just have to build out a platform like this, place a bunch of walls so that magma cubes can't spawn, put the turtle eggs on the corners to drive away these zombie pigmen, and then we just build this little contraption in the middle to lure wither skeletons into this portal. And I don't want to stall too long on this. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen these basic farms before. Now let's go through the nether portal, write down these coordinates, and rebuild the portal for the overworld side of the farm. Now we just need to do the same thing on the nether side, and I'll use shulker box loaders here so that we can stock up on a ton of items without having to worry about running out of storage space anytime soon. Okay, that's the farm all set up, and it is working perfectly. I tried to make it look a little bit nicer than normal, but this, I don't know, this looks kind of weird. It looks better than just being completely bare with no details, but all right, now with these 12 skulls that I've already gotten from the farm, which is crazy fast, let's trap a couple withers, kill them, craft up some more beacons, and then build a beacon by the farm so that I can AFK it without starving to death. Okay, now that we've got everything set up, I'll just AFK here until I have an abundance of bones, coal, and then at least like 1 or 2 shulker shells of skulls. All right, we've been running for a while and we've got a ton of coal, a ton of bones, and 1 shulker box of wither skeleton skulls. Wow, okay. So I'll get some shulker boxes full of soul sand to go with that, and I just want to farm up a bunch of nether stars in the end until we have enough beacons to put beacons everywhere I want to around the world. All right, that's our first problem fixed. Now, the second problem I had was that I have no way to smelt up a large amount of items at once. I've been using these lines of furnaces here, and it's pretty slow. I have to manually load it myself, and then I have to stand around, obviously, until they're all done smelting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build Ilmango's furnace array, but before we get the materials for it, we need to set up an area to build it. I want all my machines and farms and stuff that I can build wherever to be built in this valley here, all close to the base. And I've already started prepping some of the land to be able to build these things. So I'll go ahead and set up some more of those beacons that we just farmed, and we can start terraforming this land. I'll also add like these support walls on the edges where there's kind of like these drop-offs. And eventually I want this whole area to feel like kind of one massive cohesive build. And so terraforming the land like this will definitely help kind of set the stage for that. I'll also make sure to keep all this dirt and stuff in case I need it in the future. I always think I won't need all this dirt until I have a build or something where I need like a lot of dirt for something, and then I just end up not having it. So I need to make sure I'm keeping every block that I mine. I'll also go ahead and dig out this big hole here where the furnace array is actually going to be, because I kind of want it to be settled into the ground a bit so I can kind of look over the entire thing while it's running. Okay, this looks really good, and I think this should definitely be enough space. So let's go get all the materials we need, which is 16 stacks of powered rails, 14 stacks of white concrete, 12 stacks of hoppers, a ton of furnaces, obviously, 3 stacks of white glass, 3 stacks of chests, and then a bunch of little detailing blocks. Okay, that's everything we're gonna need. Now we just need to put the whole thing together in this hole that we dug out. I absolutely love this furnace array, by the way. I built it before, and it's really easy to build, so I definitely recommend it to any of you if you're looking for a good array to build. I'll leave a link in the description, of course. All right, and that's everything all built up. Now, I want to add a really cool decoration that kind of matches the theme of our main base. But before we do that, we need to actually test the array to make sure it works properly. So let's grab a bunch of the coal that we farmed up from the wither skeleton farm and load it into the fuel system. And then let's head to our gravity duper, start up the chunk loader, and I'll farm up a bunch of sand that we can turn into glass. All right, I went ahead and loaded it all up into shulker boxes. We'll just load it into the machine and then start it up by hitting this note block. And now we just wait around until it's done. And in less than an hour, we have a full double chest full of shulker boxes, full of glass. Yeah, this thing's pretty good. It doesn't load the shulker boxes manually. I loaded them in manually, but still, that's a lot of glass in a very short amount of time. Okay, now we can decorate the whole thing. So we need to mainly get a bunch of stone, some bricks, some spruce wood, and then like a ton of granite. I really need to figure out a way to get a lot of this stuff since it's one of the main components for this style of building. Okay, that's everything. Now we'll just build up some pillars like this, like we have kind of on the main base. And then I'll make kind of like a pointed tent ceiling for the roof. And then I'll go ahead and add some wooden beams as some extra details. And then we'll detail the floor of the furnace array as well. Okay, this looks really good. And that is our second problem solved. Now, I know I mentioned that this storage room in our main base can store everything we could possibly need, but that's only partially true. It pretty much stores every tier 1 item. And what I mean by tier 1 item is just like an item in their like pure form. For example, like a stone stair would be a tier 2 item because it requires a stone block first to be able to craft. And I thought this would be fine because I could just quickly craft whatever I want as I needed it, but I'm very quickly beginning to fill up the overflow storage down here. And it's getting very annoying to sort through all of these items, and I don't want it to become like a super jumbled mess like it's already becoming. So the plan to solve this third problem is by expanding our storage system even more. The first step for that is to set up some more beacons and dig out a big ass room underground to fit all the extra stuff. Hopefully I have enough room here. And how I want to sort this is by grouping types of blocks together. So every type of stairs, slab, wall, fence gate, door, trapdoor, and then some other blocks and some other items that I don't have sorted right now. So I'll have a big list that I'm gonna go down to gather all this stuff. And I mean, I only need 2 of everything for the item filters, and I already got all of the hard stuff anyway for the main storage system upstairs. So all of this stuff is pretty easy to get. I'll also go ahead and obviously grab a bunch of chests, some redstone components, and everything we're gonna need to detail the place. All right, that's all the materials and sorting items. Now we just have to build up the storage room again. I'm gonna use the same kind of simple sorting design that I used before. I mean, it works and it's easy to build, so why change it up? And it's funny because I'm doing all this work now, but eventually I want to build my dream mega base, and it's gonna have a storage system that I designed that's gonna be 100 times more powerful, faster, and better than this one. But I mean, in the meantime, I need something to keep everything sorted. I'm not sure how all of y'all normally play Minecraft, but if you've never designed an automatic storage system or built one before, even a simple one, the difference in how easy it is to like take on new projects versus when you don't have one is night and day. Being able to dump everything into a chest and then like go make some food or edit a video in my case, or just walk away from my computer entirely knowing that everything is going to be sorted in its own place is so incredibly convenient. Okay, and that's the storage system all complete and fully operational, connected back up to the main storage. Now we just have to go ahead and decorate the rest of the place really quick, add in some stairs so that we can actually walk in and out. And just like that, we have all the rest of our extra items sorted. This looks really good. I moved the overflow chest down here, and I turned the old overflow chests into a place where I can sort like miscellaneous items and then unstackable items like water buckets and stuff. And our little valley here is it's looking pretty good, but it's also looking a little bit flat and artificial. I had a pathway earlier that was going from here over into the farms, but I covered it up because it looked kind of weird. But I think I have an idea for a better one. I'll use some stone, some cobblestone, and some andesite, and I'll build out kind of like a pattern that connects to all the farms. And then I'll bone meal the edges of the road a little bit to add a little bit more foliage. Okay, yeah, this looks pretty good. Now I'll go ahead and add a couple extra trees and details just around the areas where I already have things built. And I'll even build a staircase that connects up to the furnace array. Okay, and last but not least, I want to try and put like a ton of beacons on the edge of the cliff here to make kind of like a wall of light effect that I think will look pretty cool. I'll just do that using a bunch of iron and beacons, of course. Oh yeah, this looks really great. And I was thinking about what I said earlier about building my dream mega base, and I am going to do that eventually, but there's also a bunch of other crazy stuff that I want to do. So there's one more thing I want to do to wrap up our extended perfect start, and I think it'll pave the way for a perfect ending, quote unquote. And we'll do that by creating a place where we can set up milestones that we can slowly check off one at a time as we complete them. And I want to call this place Mount Milestone. And obviously, to make that a fitting name, we need to find an impressive mountain range to build it at. So I searched the map of my seed for different mountain biomes to see if I could find a perfect spot. And after almost an hour of scouting out places, I finally found the perfect place. 5,000 blocks south of the world spawn is this. A massive mountain range right on the ocean, making these giant cliffs. And if we go inland just a little bit, we have even more mountains and then these 3 biomes mixing right here. And this place is amazing. amazing. After exploring around for a little bit, I came up with so many ideas of things that I could build here. And I'm thinking this spot right here is perfect for the milestone hallway. And as for this whole area, I think I'll call it the Southern Colony. This map I'm using, by the way, is called Xaeros World Map. It's a mod that I recently started using to obviously map out my whole world. And it's super cool. So I'll link in the description for you guys to check out if you want. Also, here's the world seed if you want to come see this place yourself. Like, it's literally perfect. I feel like if you designed it by hand, this area could not look better. All right, let's set up a quick nether portal. And I'll connect it to the nether roof just so we have easier access to this location. And then I'll head back home and grab some materials for some extra beacons. And then I'll set them up in front of this mountain here. And I want to excavate like a big hallway. I made sure to pick an area where I'll have plenty of room at the end for expansion in the future if I need to. But once you see what these milestones are going to be for this world, you'll see that we probably won't need the extra space. Okay, 6 hours later and the hall is finally dug out. That was super boring. But I think this should obviously be more than enough room to display all the milestones. Let's grab some stone blocks, some light blocks, and of course some granite. And I'll go ahead and build out these arches to separate each milestone display. And there's only going to be 10 of them, so we'll start with 5 on each side. We'll also go ahead and build this platform on the outside to serve as kind of an entrance to the spot. All right, this looks really good. All right, let's build up each milestone. Now, these milestones are meant to be extremely difficult to complete. They're not something that I'm just going to do in one video or just in a couple days. They're meant to be long-term goals that I can work towards over an extended period of time. And milestone number 1 is to build a quarry. If you don't know what a quarry is, it's a redstone machine that not only destroys millions of blocks, but automatically collects, stores, and sorts them for you. It is quite literally one of the most powerful machines you can build in this game. Literally running one of them one time will get you enough deep slate, stone, dirt, as well as hundreds of other blocks to literally last you forever, especially in a single player world like I'm in. But they are extremely difficult to build and must be built perfectly, or you could end up wasting hours and hours of time. So I'll have the words at the top, obviously denoting what the milestone is, and then this big cross here that will remain until I complete the milestone, and then I'll replace it with like a green check mark made of emerald blocks or something like that. I also have some text saying what the milestone is and how difficult it's going to be, with 10 being almost impossible to do, and then scaling down from there with 5 being like the average difficulty. So the quarry is going to be pretty hard. Milestone number 2 is something that I mentioned a little bit earlier, and that is my mega base. I've had a rough idea of what I want this to be in my head for a while, but it's going to take me a pretty long time to build, requiring a massive perimeter and potentially hundreds of hours of planning to create the perfect storage system that is completely idiot proof, because I'm stupid and I tend to break things from time to time. And I have the mega base rated as a project difficulty of 6 out of 10, so a little bit harder, but not too difficult, I don't think. Just very time consuming. Milestone number 3 is to build a farm for every possible tier 1 item. Like I explained before, tier 1 items are just items in their like purest form. With the addition of the auto crafter, you could probably make a farm for almost every single item in the game, but I don't really want to do that because that would be a lot of farms that would just be using different crafter configurations with like a basic cobblestone generator with like a super smelter or something. And that's pretty redundant and a waste of time in my opinion. So we'll just stick with the basic farms for every single item. And I've rated the difficulty rating for this project a 4 out of 10 because building farms is pretty easy. But we are still going to need a way to craft all those extra items that we're not going to be farming using crafters. And we can do that with milestone number 4, which is to build another super crafter. A few months ago, I built this extremely complicated and powerful redstone machine designed by Cubic Meter, and it was an enormous task to take on, but this thing is literally just a prototype. So I want to wait and see if there are people who are way smarter than me, like Cubic or maybe somebody else, who can design a newer and better version before I attempt to build it again. So I'm not sure when I can take on this milestone or exactly how difficult it's going to be, but it's definitely something I want to do in the future because of how useful the machine is. So the difficulty rating for this project is undetermined at this time. For milestone number 5, I'm not sure exactly how I want to apply this, but I want to build a massive nether perimeter. This is something that I've never done before, so I just want to do it. And the difficulty rating for this one is a 6 out of 10. I've built a perimeter before, and I've also removed a lot of bedrock before, so I can't imagine it's going to be too insanely difficult. Again, just pretty time consuming. But to go inside of the perimeter, I'll either do some type of like wither skeleton farm or something, or more likely milestone number 6, which is a massive nether hub. This thing will be tied to my mega base, and I want to create a piston bolt system that I can use to take me anywhere in the world that I want to go. And the difficulty for this one is 7 out of 10 because the piston bolt network is going to be a little bit complicated. For number 7, it's a little bit more simple. I just want to destroy the entire end island. In my previous 2 worlds, I turned the end island into 2 different like cities. This time around, I don't want to turn the end into like a specific aesthetic build, at least not right now. Instead, I want to use it to create some super powerful farms like for nether stars or concrete or obsidian, etc. And maybe in the future, I'll build something super cool there, but for now, I just want to focus on the farms there. And the difficulty for this one is an easy 4 out of 10 because blowing blowing up the end island, it's not that difficult. But what is difficult is milestone number 8, which is something that I fully never expect to accomplish. 2 years ago, I built a world record beacon. I say beacon in quotes because it's technically a pyramid because it was hollow inside, but that's how everybody was doing it at the time. Anyway, I want to do this again, but not with iron, not with emeralds, but with diamonds. Now you see why I fully never expect to complete this project. In order to build such a thing though, I need to mine over 5 million diamonds, which comes out to this many double chests full of shulker boxes full of diamonds, which at this scale, I mean, it looks kind of doable, right? But I highly doubt I will ever get this done. I scanned a 500 block area in a test world, and in that area, there were 23,854 deep slate diamond ore and 420 normal diamond ore. And if I were to mine all of that with a fortune 3 pick, I would get an average of 2.2 diamonds per ore block, coming out to a grand total of 53,502 diamonds, or just barely 1% of the total diamonds required for this project. But hey, this will give me at least a reason to mine every diamond I see. And the difficulty rating for this one is an 11 out of 10. There's no way I'm ever doing this. As for number 9, we have another project that I might not be able to complete, but I think I might be able to complete it. I haven't really worked out the details yet. And that is the Great Wall. I want to build a wall that reaches all the way to sky limit and wraps in a circle around something in my world. I'm not sure if I want this to be centered around spawn or my future mega base or how big the radius of the circle is going to be. But I do know I want it to have a radius of at least a couple thousand blocks, and so massive that completing it will be on par with the difficulty of completing the diamond beacon. Whenever I work out the details of this project, I also want to make sure that the materials it's made out of are materials that I can easily farm crazy amounts of. And the difficulty for this one is a fair 10 out of 10. With that, we come to milestone number 10, which compared to the last two is extremely easy. And that's just to reach level 10,000. Since I'm playing on hardcore, my levels should on average only go up unless I need to enchant something or whatever. Obviously, at some point in the future, I'm going to build a very powerful XP farm to repair my tools and to build these levels, but that's for another time. And the difficulty rating for this one is not really applicable. If you guys have any extra milestones that you think of that would be good, leave them in the comments and maybe I'll add a couple more. But yeah, I think all this extra stuff definitely perfects the already pretty perfect start. And with a clear path forward for this world, let's get to work.